What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Thrifting After Work. My name is David, and I thought I'd come outside for this beautiful day to tell you guys about today's video. Today, I'm going to be going over a full 6-month recap of reselling online. So I started reselling in October of 2020. It is now March of 2021. So I have 6 months of doing this to talk about today. So we're going to go over what my thoughts are, how it's been going, and what the numbers are, and totals of what the profit is. So I'll see you guys back inside. So like I said, I'm now 6 months into my reselling journey, and I thought I would take a minute to just kind of recap it, both for you guys and for myself as kind of a moment in time. And I want to talk about a little bit about what I'm feeling, what I've learned, and of course, what everybody looks for, what I'm actually making from this hobby slash side hustle. So first, what are my thoughts? How am I feeling about it? Would I go back and do it again? Am I going to continue doing it in the future? And the answer to all of that is yes. I am happy that I made this decision. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, what I'm learning, and being a part of the reselling community has been a added bonus that I really didn't even think about when I started. I just started trying to resell and make some content about it, but there is a huge reselling community, both online and in person, and it's been a great side benefit of becoming a part of that as well. And I definitely plan to continue doing this for the foreseeable future. Again, because of my time commitments and everything, it's hard for me to scale up. So I'm not necessarily looking at doing huge jumps of growth, just continuing what I'm doing and getting that extra income, being part of the community, learning more, and having fun. Now for some lessons learned and for some things that I'm doing a little bit differently than I was doing before. The number one lesson, and this I think, you hear about it a lot if you're, learning about this or wanting to get into this and following some YouTube channels and everything, but I can't reaffirm it enough, is do your research and look up the items that you're buying. I'm definitely a much better purchaser than I am when I first started 6 months ago, and I'm still learning and I'm still making mistakes on things that I buy, but stopping and doing the research and learning about an item before you buy it is really what's going to help. And also just overall, from the selling standpoint, both in how I'm selling my items, where I'm selling my items, and how I'm organizing myself has changed and grown over time. Again, when I first started this, I wasn't sure how long I'd be doing it, or even if I'd enjoy it, or if I'd be good at it. So I was, storing my items a little bit differently, organizing myself a little bit differently. I did make a video about that, and you can see that right up here. I'll put the tag. And let me take you along right now and show you a little bit of what the difference is of how I'm organizing myself right now. All right, guys, so we are in the garage, and I'm here to tell you guys about one of the biggest changes that happened over those 6 months, and that's how I store and inventory my items. So let me flip the camera around and show you guys. So this is my inventory storage system here. I have a video that I filmed a while back of me kind of putting this together and showing how I used to store and how I store now. Basically, I stored everything in kind of a hollowed out ottoman, and now I have a shelving unit, a shoe rack here for all of my shoes, and some bins for me to keep everything in, as well as my boxes and shipping supplies here. So this is, one of the bigger changes that happened as far as just the way I organize my, thrifting operation and reselling operation here. So this has been a pretty good change. I've also made advances on how I'm listing and how I'm shipping my items, just being better at having shipping supplies, weighing my items, knowing what to charge for my shipping costs, and should I be charging for my shipping costs, has all changed from the beginning to where I am now. Now I'm charging for shipping. I started out doing a little bit of free shipping, but there's a lot of benefits, too many to go into this video, but personally I feel like there's a lot of benefits in actually charging shipping to the buyer, and that's my business model. But if you're looking to get started into reselling, I recommend you do the research yourself and figure out what's best for you. Without further ado, let's get into some numbers. So the way I track all my numbers is actually through an Excel spreadsheet that I created. It tracks my inventory, both what's sold and what hasn't sold, the purchase price of those items, and then later on, either the sales price, the fees, the shipping, and what my net profit for that item is. Now, I'll start to put some numbers up on the screen here in just a minute, but just talking generally right now, again, I've been selling for 6 months. So my first item sold late October of 2020, and I'm now filming this mid-March of 2021. And in that 6-month time, I've sold 75 items. Now off screen here, I have my little cheat sheet. You probably can't see it on there, it's so small, but these are all the items that I've sold, and you can see all the different columns and numbers and everything and some summaries here. And I'm gonna go into all the details. I'm not gonna go item by item, don't worry, but I'm gonna go over all of the details as far as what the total sales were, what my total cost was, and what I'm really actually making from these sales and what I've taken in, and the benefit of what I've been doing over the last 6 months. So to start off, the number of gross sales that I had, again, that's just what, if you look up what I sold on eBay, this is what the gross number will be, is $3,157.35. Now, for somebody not putting a lot of time into this and just doing this after work, on weekends, things like that, that number sounds great. And if that's the money that I was really taking home, I'd be even happier than I am right now. But that's not the case. That is the gross sales. From there, to get your real income, you have to deduct all of your fees, and that starts with cost of goods that I sold, the fees that eBay charges. I'm personally only selling on eBay right now, so I only have to deal with the eBay fees, shipping cost, and then I will finally get the number as the real number that I'm making. So first, let's take out my cost of goods. Now, for those 75 items, the price varied pretty greatly, from $0 of things I had them out in my house to the biggest purchase that I made, which was around $75. And my total cost for these 75 items was $648.90. And that works out to an average cost per item of $8.65. Now, a good thing to remember here is technically cost of goods is not money lost. It's money repaid to myself for the upfront cost that I put forward to buy these items. So while it is technically an expense, it really is just a wash to bring myself back to zero. So that money still goes into my account, but it just levels me up to zero, and then I can work on what money that I didn't have before for my net profit. Now let's talk eBay fees. On average, you're gonna spend about 13% on your eBay fees, and for me, that came out to $344.05. Now, that may not sound exactly like 13%, but keep in mind that eBay does have different fees for different types of items, and oftentimes they run certain specials or things for new sellers or things for certain categories of items that may lower down the fee for a short period of time. But it's safe bet to average a 13% final value fee from eBay. Now for my shipping fees. As I mentioned before, I do charge shipping on almost all of my items. So the shipping cost was actually included in that $3,000 gross sale. So I have to deduct those items. Now again, it doesn't always work out to be the exact amount because I do a flat rate shipping on most items. It averages out to be about a net zero, so I'm comfortable doing that, but I still have to take that out of my gross sales because that's money that while I was paid, it then washes out at zero. And the total cost to ship all of these items was $621.23. So about average $8 per item for shipping. So now it brings us to the true number, the real number, the money that I get to keep. And that amount is $1,543.18. That is the fruit of my labor. That is the extra income. That is my money that I didn't have before that I now have because of reselling online. And while it may not seem like a lot for 6 months of work, again, I'm putting very minimal effort into this. I'm doing this part-time, after work, on some weekends. I take some days off. I take some weeks off. Even this last week was an example of that, where I didn't buy or list anything the entire week, but I still had some items for sale and still sold a few items. So reselling is by no means a passive income, but for somebody like me who's doing it as a hobby and not to make ends meet, I have the flexibility to put as much time or as much effort in as I want. And for the amount of time and effort I put in, I feel like having an extra $1,500 is not a bad deal. While most people's hobbies cost them money, mine actually made me money. And by the end of a year, I might have between an extra $3,000 to $5,000 if everything goes well and I keep scaling up a little bit. Again, I talked earlier about not, scaling and growing too much, but I want to make sure that I'm being more efficient and maybe making better buys and better purchases to make me a little bit more money. So to have an extra $3,000 to $5,000 at the end of the year is nothing to scoff at, especially for something that I'm enjoying, for something that I'm having fun, and I'm putting, I would say again, minimal effort into. Now, a few extra numbers just to throw in there. My profit margin, which is how much of my gross sales I get to keep, was 49%. And again, for somebody like me who's being very picky and trying to work in the most efficient way possible, I feel like that is very good. If you're going to try to do this full time or, even, heavy part time, you're probably going to range anywhere between a 30 and a 45% profit margin. Obviously, you want to shoot for as high as you can, but when you're dealing in higher volumes, eventually that profit margin will lower a little bit and stabilize around there to get you to make sure that you're buying consistent items that not all are going to be winners, but some are just going to be good bread and butter items that you might double your money on. And again, doubling your money in reselling means you're keeping about 30% because of fees and shipping and everything else. So that's it, guys. That is the breakdown. That is the reality, the real deal of what I've been doing and what I actually made from those efforts. Again, I can't necessarily put a value on it because I'm enjoying so much about the process and about being part of the reselling community here on YouTube. So that, along with the extra income, makes this so worthwhile for me. So thanks again for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like on it. It helps me out a lot and lets YouTube know that I'm doing okay. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'm this close to 400 subscribers, so if you want to support the channel even more, hit that subscribe button. It would really mean a lot. And if you like this style of recap video, stay tuned in another 6 months for my 1 year recap. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.